Hey guys, welcome back. As promised, we're going to start building the CrossFit Rep Counter. Today we're just going to look at the linear potentiometer and how to connect it to the ESP32. So basically the linear potentiometer has 3 pins. It's got upside down, VCC, ground and the output. So before we use this, we kind of need to understand what happens with the linear potentiometer. So I've got my fancy whiteboard. So let's explain how the potentiometer works. So we are going to talk about this. That was scary. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we've got 3 outputs here. We've got output, VCC and ground. So if you look at this.
What is VCC?
VCC is my 3 volts. VCC is power. Voltage is VCC. Good question. Anyway, so when we look at this, we kind of have this going. Like the ocean, but it's not. So here we have ground, which is a 0 volt potential. And here we have 3 volts. So those are the 2 out of 3 pins. Just a normal convention, ground is always down and VCC 3 volts voltage is always up. So then we have our V out. So our V out is basically, if we have our slider, and a little man here, moving the slider, that point there is my V out. So basically what happens, this is my resistance, this whole line, and I'm basically increasing or decreasing the resistance. Go this way, either that way or that way. So then with the increasing or decreasing resistance, I am increasing or decreasing the voltage at that point. And that is done by your voltage. It's difficult to write like that. Equals current times resistance. Perfect. So one thing that you guys have to know is that current will always flow from let's just keep it simple, from your VCC or your potential voltage to the ground. So there'll be always current flowing here. So my current for this setup will always be the same. So my voltage will be determined by the resistance that I choose. So if I increase my resistance, my voltage increases. If I decrease my resistance, the voltage decreases. So this is all dependent on my resistance because of my current being the same. This point here is actually the voltage that the ESP will read. So this point here will go to the ESP32. But it has to go to a linked. Curious, give me tips while I'm busy with this. Anyway, so that voltage here will go to my ESP32. So the voltage can be either from 0 volts, which is ground potential, to 3.3 volts.
It's a bit small.
Small. It's difficult, right? Like this one. 0 volts to 3.3 volts. So this is the value that we're going to read in our ESP. But how cool is that? All at once. Anyway, so now we're going to speak a bit about how we're going to think about programming this. So we have a voltage, but we as people don't see voltages as reps, etc. So how can we take that voltage and make it into a rep we can display? So this is the basics of it. So an ESP has 2 basic signals. It's got a digital and an analog. So digital is just like a button. I push it, it's 1. I leave it, it's 0. Analog is varying. So it's from 0 volts to 3.3 volts. So this is the one we will focus on. So if you look at my potentiometer, sliding this will give us, like we discussed earlier, 0 volts to 3.3 volts. And my analog input is on my ESP. So to turn the voltage here for 3.3 volts to a number that we can understand, the ESP does some as a magic circuitry here for analog that will give us a value of 4096 when it's the maximum 3.3 volts. So when we change this, when this decreases, this number will decrease. We won't go too much into it, but this 4096 comes from, because the ESP is a 12-bit analog input, the value comes from 4096 2 to the power of 12. So that's basically it. You guys can read more about it. I don't want to go too much into that. But 3.3 volts is also the maximum the ESP can handle. So if you put 5 volts in there, you'll still only read 496 and you will burn it. So don't do that. But for us, 496 realistically you won't be able to do in amount of reps unbroken before you get tired. So we need to make this in a way that we can use it in real life. So just for example, I chose 100 reps. If you do double unders, you might be able to do more unbroken. Hack on, so I chose 100 reps. So basically we want to change the 4096 maximum to 100 maximum. So all we do is we're going to take this value, 4096, encode, we'll get that later on, divide by 4096, that will give us 1 times by 100. And that will give our reps. This 496 is actually the voltage 496, so this is a constant number.
The maximum.
The maximum. Constant max, so this won't change, so this will change. So this is my input. So this will vary. So if I'm 100%, I'll get 100 reps. If I'm 50%, I'll get 50 reps. So this we're going to use later on in our Arduino code. We won't discuss too much about that now, but yeah, that is the principle behind it. So when we change the voltage, we change that number will become reps. 1.65 volts will be 2048. Yeah, I think so. That's quite quick. 2048 will give me 50 reps. That is how we're going to think about programming it. Till then.